What's up, guys? It's Jake and this is why I played Red Green Smoker at the Las Vegas Regional. So this is the deck. Shout out Eggman. He posted me number 33, 8-2 Red Green Smoker. Yeah, we bubbled out due to tiebreakers. Our opponents didn't finish out their games. Throughout the weeks building up, I was stuck between two similar decks running Captain Kid. I was stuck between Bonney, which I won one of the starter deck events with, and I had a lot of interest with the leader. That was like my first time playing it. I really liked how good it was at stalling into getting it to better position. And then Smoker was my OP11 leader. I pulled it at pre-release. Both kind of similar, just playing Captain Kid, trying to see if they can extract as much value and kind of like hide behind his shield. Another good part about all these Captain Kid decks is they beat Green Purple Luffy, one of the best decks of the format, if not the best deck in the format at the current moment. Its conversion rate on Top Cut is really, really high, and it's a good deck at a lot of the decks out right now. Smoker and Bonney both have good matchups into this deck. Smoker boasts a little bit better of a matchup. It wins 60% of the time into Green Purple Luffy going first or second. Green Purple Luffy can have a chance going second into Bonney versus into Smoker. It doesn't have the same kind of chance. This was the entrance and top cut for the Oviedo regional. I got this from Eggman events. You look at like the pie charts of the Green Purple Luffy entrance to the top cut. It's like very, very significant. Like it overperforms, and with Black Purple Luffy overperforming and Blue Purple Luffy underperforming, which is kind of to be expected. Like a lot of the decks that people play, like, teching into that. In Asia, they didn't have as much as preparation for this best deck versus we kind of understand what's going to happen, and like you can kind of know what's going to happen every time. So you'll see like Bella Betty converting pretty well, like Buggy doing well, a little bit underperforming, but still made top cut. So Green Purple Luffy is 31% of the top cut versus it's just 13% of the entrance, which is like a overperformance. Same with Black Purple Luffy. It overperformed a lot. White Beard overperformed. The guy's just go. Buggy was 11% of entrance and it made 6% of top cut. Bella Betty matched its entrance in top cut. I expected a lot more people to be running Green Purple Luffy after this, seeing its conversion rate. That makes running Kid deck is very, very viable because you're going to see a lot of Green Purple Luffys. People are going to try and match what happened in Oviedo. This is just like a matchup chart taken from TCG matchmaking. It shows like Green Purple Luffy's good into a lot of the decks in the format. It has a good chance into Blue Purple Luffy, which is like the big bad of the format. Here, specifically Smoker and Bonney's matchups. Smoker's able to do really well into the three big bad purple Luffys: Blue Purple, Black Purple, and Green Purple. Bonney's able to kill Black Purple pretty bad and Green Purple pretty bad, but Blue Purple struggles a little bit into. But Bonney's able to beat aggro decks like Yamato and Bella Betty versus Smoker's not able to do that as consistently. But if you were ever in a matchup Bonney versus Smoker, Smoker's favorite in that matchup, especially with Green Purple getting better, you expect more Captain Kid decks. So more Captain Kid decks are these two, and Smoker beats Bonney, which is really good. If you want to play Bonney, you can beat Black Purple, Bella, Buggy. Smoker's better into the other purple Luffys and Bonney. So that's part of the reason I went with Smoker. There's some other reasons. Smoker, I played so much in OP10, and Bonney is a new deck for me. Play something that I can play for 10 consistent rounds and not have to deal with any like stressful bimping because I played it so much. Now we're going to go through the deck and the evolution of Red Green Smoker. Red Green Smoker first came onto the ranks scene in early March when OP10 released. Smoker boasted number 8 on their charts in its second week of being legal. It was running a deck list using Ben Beckmans, which are really strong in that format, being able to establish a body, trash a 6,000 power or less. And it was running Rad Beam, Mole Pistol, and then it kind of revolves around these key pieces, which is Odie, Captain Kid, and then all of the Punk Hazard and AB cards, because our leader's defensive ability gives boosts to Punk Hazard and AB. Sanji being able to get on KO draw a 7k Tony chop, and Smoker's obviously the go to the deck. Smoker can be described to be a Linchpin Flex. Linchpin meaning it revolves around one thing, and Flex meaning it can go through two different kind of ideas. I think this really matches the leader's like character design really well, because Smoker comes from the Punk Hazard part of the One Piece series, chapter 663 titled CC, where Smoker and Tashigi switch bodies. Smoker being a key figure in the Navy and Tashigi being his second in command. Tashigi and Smoker both being Navy, they kind of exist under this one key thing, which is Linchpin is their key thing, and then Flex being between two separate things. The Smoker leader is the mind of a man, but the body of a girl, kind of existing between like these two different worlds, you know what I mean? It kind of exists between red and green. Smoker's similar to Green Purple Luffy in the sense that it kind of revolves around one key card, which gives you a lot more value. Red Green Smoker has Smoker, and Green Purple Luffy has Sanji Pudding, which everybody kind of knows. One more dawn every single time you lead your ability, but in the Smoker, you get one extra dawn every single turn. And it has Banish, which gives you a lot of advantage in hand size because they have to pitch a lot of cards to make sure that they don't get banished. Smoker's leader ability lets you restand 2 dawn when you have a character over, and Smoker lets you restand a dawn whenever it's on field, so you can play up with 3 extra dawn every single turn using the later ability and Smoker ability. So those are Linchpin, and now this is our Flex aspect of it. So Smoker exists between 2 realms, which is red, which emphasizes power control, and like green emphasizes like the board control and like the dawn manipulation, being able to arrest a lot of stuff. In our sense, on rest stuff, the power, being able to give 1,000 power to all of our characters on defense, making it harder for leaders to swing into us and like try and clear our board. 3 cards that kind of highlight this idea of Smoker are Captain Kidd, Honesty Impact, and Hody Jones. Captain Kidd is such a strong card in this meta because it's able to beat decks like Green Purple Luffy. If you're able to establish this and just build a wall around this, Green Purple Luffy is going to have to attach Dawn to swing into this character. A lot of their board is going to also need Dawn attached to it to swing into this, and then you can just fend it really, really well. Put cards in hand after you take a bunch of life. Hody Jones, and get rid of Gum Gum Giant, being able to rest somebody's Dawn and punish them really hard if they only leave 1 up standing. If they leave 3 standing, they can make less valued plays, having them stress too much about this card. And if somebody's starving you can also gain that extra life if you really need to. Captain Kidd and Hody together make it really easy to play on 0 life and do a lot of high value plays. You don't have to get the second part of this action, which is losing the life. Smoker also has a lot of power reduction cards. Like we were talking about earlier, it was using Ben Beckman to trash a lot of characters, but now we have Honesty Impact, which is a new Navy card that came out with Kobe. So you can use this card for board clearing big things like category, or you can double clear, so minus 4,000 power to one character that's rested and KO a 6,000 power character that's active. Like this is good in a Bonney because Bonney has a bunch of 5-6 characters like Cavendish, Carrot, paired with Monet. Honesty Impact and get rid of 7,000 power characters like Sanji Pudding. This is actually from a few days ago. Smoker's back at the top of the leaderboards, rank sim after being kind of fading for a little bit. It's number 4, and this was the deck list that we were using Baccarats and Dragons, which are good consistency pieces outside of like the main core of the deck. A lot of Mole Pistol, again, just being able to minus 5 KO 2 or less, pops a bunch of 7K characters. Like we were saying, I think one of Bonnie's strengths is it's good into aggro decks. It's like Bello Betty versus Smokers. How are we going to be able to beat Bello Betty? This is where one of my tech options that I found looking through some decks on RankSim, Borsalino. So Borsalino, for starters, is a blocker, which is like an extra like 3 Dawn you can get out of any attack. I realized from playing the Bonney starter deck battle, like type of Bonney starter deck is just a bunch of blockers and you can just stall. It's funny. And then the second part of this character, you may rest this character up to one of your Navy leaders. Characters can also attack active characters during this turn, which gives you the chance to starve your opponent early. If you're able to swing into their board instead of their life, then they're not going to get any cards from their life and they're going to start pitching cards early, which is really good. And even if this is rested, it's still an extra life going to have to swing into this character because next turn it's going to be a blocker, or next turn you can just use the effect again. Another part of it is Navy searchable, which is we have a new Kujaku searcher, which you can find Navy pieces, the Smoker, Rosinante. This Borsalino helps the matchup a little bit more favored into Bello Betty. The Bello Betty matchup for Smoker is really hard. Plan of action into Bello Betty's, you kind of want to slow them as much as possible using our blockers like our Borsalino, Baccarat, Tony Chopper, Rosinante. Another good thing about Borsalino, it's out of KO range for the Kuma, which is that 2-cost KO with 2,000 power left. That Kuma is just able to pop our Rosinante. So if we play out our searcher and we have the option of Borsalino or Rosinante, we can get Borsalino instead, and then we'll get popped by the 2K. We can eventually get to Captain Kidd against Bello Betty. They're going to have a hard time clearing us. A lot of their characters are 5,000 powers boosted with their leader. They're just 888s. That'll be easiest for us to defend on an 8,000 power character than our 5K leader. The next part is you want Bello Betty to try and lose as many cards in their hand as possible, so then they can gas out and then you can flip it on them after you settle down into your Captain Kidd pivot. Bella Betty having to pitch cards for their leader ability. Yeah, so this Porcelino really saves us that matchup, right? You can rest this character, swing into their searchers really early, forcing them to have to swing into this instead of into our life. We can defend this, swing into some of their other active characters. If they're trying to build a board, which I know Bella Betty sometimes likes to do, they try to build a board so then they can use their leader building, extract as much value from it as possible. You can disrupt it that way, or even just having this on board just as a blocker is nice. This brings it to Milas for the regional, like using a lot of those pieces that we saw from before, the core cards, the Punk Hazard and Navy Search Oval card, and then Baccarat and Monkey D Dragon, which we saw from that other top list, or list from the rank sim. Some events like Odyssey Impact, Gum Will Pistol, Kamakura, Porcelino tech. As far as our one-ups, like the Baccarat and the Monkey D Dragon that we saw in the rank sim, I'll go into some more detail. One of Smoker's biggest enemies is itself, right? Like Smoker tends to be a deck that kind of breaks up a lot. Like it has a lot of Captain Kids, a lot of Odies. Some counter events aren't always going to just be able to be straight up counter. That's why I dropped Captain Kid to 3, which from playing the OP10, there was like so many games where your hand is only Captain Kids, which suck. And so I switched that to, like these are an example of a lot of the brick. Having a hand of just 4 Captain Kids, like in the EVO2 Treasure Cup, I ran Smoker and I had a hand like this one game and I just looked at the guy and I was like, okay, this is how it is. And then being able to replace that with Baccarat instead. Baccarat's another blocker and it has counter on it, so it's not necessarily a brick always. And then the secondary action outside of being a blocker from Baccarat is you may trash one card for your hand up to one of your leader characters gains 2,000 power during this battle, which means essentially any brick in your hand is going to be a 2k if you have this on board. Just so good for a deck that bricks up the way that Smoker does, just being able to pitch a Captain Kid or a Hodie instead of having them sitting in your hand. And then another one of my one-ofs was Dragon. So Dragon is another character that has rush. Secondary abilities, give up to 2 rested Dawn to one of your leader characters on play. And a lot of the time against good players, they might leave up read on just so they could play around Hodie Jones and be able to still Gum Giant. It's kind of puts you at the spot where it's like, oh, if I drop Hodie Jones, I'm not going to get as much value as I would really like to. And that's where Dragon comes in. If somebody leaves a 3 on for Gum Giant and they only have 1 Gum in hand, then this Monkey D Dragon's going to give you a lot more value because you can play this out instead, have still 2 Dawn up from it only being 8 costs, 2 Dawn from your leader ability, 2 Dawn from the Dragon ability, and 1 Dawn possibly from Smoker, giving you up to 7 Dawn on top of this, which this could be on play as 16k swing, which would be a nice one-up because they're not always going to be able to play around this and Hodie at the same time. In a few of my games, I actually did resolve this. I resolved this against Bella Betty when I had to go for lethal because I knew I needed the extra Dawn to be able to give guaranteed lethal math. I think I played this out, gave the extra Dawn to a Smoker that was on board, and then I went 8 with my leader, 9 with Smoker, and 9 with this. Lastly, for some 2-ofs in our deck, we have the Gum Vulpus. This card is amazing. If you are forced to go second on your 6th Dawn turn, if you're able to play out a Smoker and this card, answering one of their 5-drop options. In Black Purple Luffy's case, their 6-drop option, because they'll probably have Ram ahead of us, dropping this and getting rid of one of their 7,000 power bodies. This is Green Purple Luffy revolves around, and this is what Black Purple Luffy revolves around. This trigger won me some games during the regional against Bella Betty. I think I saw this in 2 of my Bella Betty games in the trigger. I did a lot of searching and I was like, oh, my life either has to be a Captain Kid or one of my events, and then it just happened to be the event. After you hit somebody with the event like that, like the Bella Betty players just look pretty defeated, and it's kind of a mental game at that point, and like just watching them out to be like, there's no way. And so this is again taken from TCG Match, making on Discord. Smoker was good into UP, Black Purple, Green Purple, Buggy, and obviously he was struggling into Bella Betty and Yamato, but with it now including our Porcelino tech, our matchups probably got worse for these categories, but stronger in these categories, giving us a full 50% across the board. Amazing. So like we were saying, for the Vegas regional, I thought a lot of people were going to be playing Green Purple Luffy, which is right there where a lot of Black Purple Luffy went down because people were like probably understood. People are going to know what it is now. Green Purple Luffy is just stronger than that deck. Green Purple Luffy made a good amount of the top cut, being 5 out of 32. UP, Bella Betty, Bonney. We were saying that we thought Bonney was going to do good this regional. A lot of other random leaders, Lucci made it, which a lot of people thought Lucci was dead. And then Black Yellow Luffy, which is kind of a crazy pick. Smoker had a good amount of entrances too, but none of us really cracked the top 32. Me being the pick and just making it to top 33. We were close. And yeah, so these are my matchup. I made a Twitter too. Yeah, this is my first regional. I got top 33. Purple Black Luffy going first with Dice Roll. It's a favorite matchup. I think I saw my mall pistols, and as soon as he resolved his first beer Luffy, I just popped it, and just how it went. How Lucci it's kind of a scary matchup. Lucci's tear through Smoker back in the day, but now it's double searchable to find your Tashigis and your Smokers, so you have a little bit better of a chance. Before my game against my opponent, I was like, I really hope I see Tashigis, and she was like, I hope you don't, but I saw like 4 of them that game. It was pretty crazy. That just kept me alive. Pluffy being a dice roll kind of matchup, like no P10, Pluffy was running around while Smoker was running around, and these two's curves going first are so good. Being able to play off Smoker on 5 Dawn, that banish the following turn is going to be really brutal. But Pluffy being able to cheat out Luffy Taro on 7, Luffy Taro into something else on 7 Dawn back in the day was so good too. So yeah, just like a really dice roll dependent matchup. UP Luffy, we lost the dice roll and we got second. UP Luffy was one of the reasons we switched to Smoker instead of Bonney. Literally in a UP suck. He grab plated my first couple Smokers, and I didn't see any Tashis, and then he big bombed a third Smoker. Oh, we have no Smokers now. Like, I'm not going to see them ever again until I get to this last life. No, it's just GG's at that point. My first Bell and Betty matchup, I think I got a board of some Smokers and Sanji, and my leader, he had like 4 bodies on board. I was able to Hody clear every single one of his bodies because they only have 1 card in hand. And then just having a blocker on board and like a counter event in hand, we were able to survive and just win out the next turn, being able to swing with such a wide board with banish, preventing them to have any cards in hand, find any triggers off of their life, like blocker cross and stuff like that. And then Green Purple Luffy, we got first against them. That was a good game. My opponent was really funny. We had a good conversation during the game. I don't think got to see my kid in that game, which maybe being 3 of is maybe a little bit too low because that is a matchup and you want to see kid, but I saw my mole pistols and I saw Honesty Impacts, those removable cards. And then another Bello Betty, which if I knew I was going to play 2 Bello Bettys and like 1 UP, I probably would have played Bonney. This Bello Betty, we got second. I think this was the game that we actually saw Captain Kid against a Bello Betty. I think we were able to play that out on 8 Dawn and just build around that. Buggy going first, we're already favored into Buggy. I think I saw my Porcelino early and I saw my Smokers, so I just starved them the whole game, being able to swing into their board instead of swinging into their life. Buggy needs a lot of card and they weren't able to build any sort of board around me, so their win con of having that 10 drop Buggy being able to be played and the effects not going through for them bottom decking that 10 drop. Another Bello Betty. I knew I was going to play 3 Bello Bettys. Obviously I'm just going to pick Bonney, right? But we were able to get out of this. I think I saw a trigger and I think that just devastated the guy, because if I had seen that trigger, there was a very good chance it would be his game. But if it wasn't that trigger, I think it would have been Captain Kid, just like based off some searches. I feel like any other card in my deck is kind of good in that spot, because a blocker would have still saved me for at least another turn and I would just kept trying to survive out all my blockers. Then we wrapped off with the Purple Black Luffy, which that being our first game and our last game, like the first game went so well for us. And then that last game, I think I misplayed on my 5 Dawn turn maybe. And then he just gave me no opportunity to punish him the whole game. I played really well. Like he left 3 Dawn up every single turn. My Hody couldn't really punish him because he had 3 Dawn up. He operated on 0 life with just the 7k leader and his restand attacker. He starved me my life and he swung into my board, so he was able to clear a lot of my board and just be able to live off of 0 life with his gum giants and being a 7k leader. Really strong. We went for a game with our 1 of Dragon that game. I dropped the Dragon. He had 3 Dawn up. He was a 7k leader. I think we put with our Smoker. He gave us a 1k, so I think he was at 3 cards in hand when we dropped Dragon. And I think I went so 8 Dawn for Dragon, attached 2 Dawn to Dragon. So now it's at 9 to 11. Leader ability resend 2 Dawn. So now Dragon's gonna be at 13. And then Smoker ability attached 1 more Dawn. So now Dragon's at 14. And then he gummed. I know he had a 1k in hand, the 1000 power, and then he gummed. He gummed, trashed a brick. He found a 0 cost event and another brick. So then the 0 cost event, the brick, gum giant, and a 1k was 8000 power, being on top of his 7k leader was 15. So he just got out of it. Really tough. I needed it to be another brick, or even just, he literally only showed me 2ks that entire game. He got out of everything without having a gum and until that moment. So for him to have the 0 cost event was pretty rough. Just outside of that, some Smoker goals. You want to swing at their life with your banish from Smoker, just so you can reduce as many cards as possible into their hand. Control the board with our Cody, get extra value plays with our leader ability, force them to play around your high value cards like Kid and Cody, stall out your aggro opponents, use every resource that you can. The green card pool is so strong, banish so strong, having like a million blockers to stall out. I also have some games of me playing on the sim that we can like kind of go through. So yeah, we're about 1.1 billion bounty, but we've got some games off of UPs and obviously GP we just farm into, which is nice. Blackbeard is now a little favorite for us too. Here's another replay from facing a GP and 1 billion berries. We start with Porcelino. We're going first. I grab a Rosinante off my search because I don't think I have any better target. So I like there, Porcelino, get ready to prep into swinging into his board. We're having just a well-established blocker for later turns. He pitches a card, which is like crazy. Genuinely crazy. We just give him that point and saving it. Kind of gives us the same kind of idea where now we can swing into his board. Boom, with no trigger. He gives us that because he has no cards. He's sitting. Some of them kind of upset with our hand. Has no really great options. He has to give me his blocker just so he can lead our ability next turn. So yeah, we're just going to be able to take that away. We can't even lead our ability ourselves, but at least we can clear his whole entire board and keep him starved. Take 3 cards in hand. He's in a really bad spot. He's Zoroark into a Frankie. Means that hand isn't that amazing because it could have been Zoroark with Sunch Pudding trying to get that engine going back again. We're fine taking ace again because we're just Captain Kid Vividing, Dashing Dawn, putting out a Porcelino. Oh, our leader can now attack active because we already have a blocker up. There we go. Yeah, if we were going to do it, we would do it today just so we can guarantee it. We have a blocker up. We have 6K or 7K encounter. We have another kid. Even if he does clear this one, we can just do it again. Yeah, 2 2s. Here's our whole board. 10 to 8. Play out another one. Still have 2 Dawn for a counter event and a 5K swing to his life. Our counter event stops that very easily. +3, -2. Yeah, because his leader can't swing because he doesn't have enough, so I can just trash a searcher. Okay, we have nothing else to do with Monet, so we can just swing with Monet. See where he's at with this counter. He takes it so we can just all in. He doesn't even bother going out of it because he doesn't know what to do next turn. Just kind of gives up.